the survivors. The crew travels to a remote colony where just 2 of its thousands of inhabitants have miraculously survived a devastating attack.
The Enterprise responds to a distress call from the planet, but before they go down there, Troy senses something unusual. But of course...
There's something different about these two people. I'm sorry, I can't be clearer than that.
What exactly is Troy's range for sensing emotions? Because being in orbit is pretty far up. Does she have to direct it, or is she just kind of picking it up?
Those are interesting questions, so the show's not going to answer them.
The planet's surface is totally destroyed. There are no ships in the area, but Wesley detects one intact structure, which is on a patch of totally untouched Earth, so an away team goes down to check it out.
When they get down on the planet, they do a bunch of scans that they should have done from space.
Riker pulls a Chewbacca and walks into a trap.
Chewie, wait, don't!
The 2 life signs they detected belong to Kevin and Rashawn Uxbridge, who are played by John Anderson and Anne Haney. John Anderson was in a bunch of Twilight Zone episodes, and I think an Outer Limits episode too, and I recognized Anne Haney from Mrs. Doubtfire. Both of them say a massive ship appeared and obliterated the planet from orbit. Beverly shows her bedside manner we missed so much in Season 2 by shoving a probe right in their faces before even saying something like, "Hey, I'm a doctor." Riker believes that the 2 were kept alive intentionally, but he wants to figure out why. They have a cool house.
Data shows an unusual amount of interest in a seemingly normal music box, and then for some reason we cut away to Troy having a breakdown as she realizes how bad she is at being helpful.
I liked the initial mystery in this one.
But just like in the previous episode, characters behave completely irrationally at the idea of having to leave a dangerous area.
Don't let them do this to us.
No one's going to make us leave.
You'll be protected on our ship. You could still be in danger here on Rana.
Commander, we appreciate your concern, but we're not going anywhere.
Troy constantly has the music from the music box stuck in her head, and she can't focus. Picard does some investigating to why Troy is in such pain and how it relates to Rashawn and Kevin, but since he doesn't actually seem to care that much, he pretty much gives up and tells her to dope up.
Try and rest. Take the necessary sleep inducements if you have to.
An unknown spacecraft has appeared, which attacks the Enterprise, seemingly ineffectively, but when the Enterprise tries to chase it, they can't catch up to it. It keeps matching their speed.
Seemingly to mess with them. Since they can't catch the ship, Picard decides to go down to the planet to talk to Kevin and Rashawn. And everybody, including me, forgot about Troy, but she's still going crazy.
Picard's conversation with the Uxbridges fails to advance the plot at all, but I like the way Worf drinks tea.
The mystery vessel reappears, but this time attacks for real, and the Enterprise is unable to damage it and has to leave. But Picard suspects that Kevin and Rashawn are not in any danger, but he doesn't reveal why.
When the ship attacks, this one guy goes into a death animation that they stole from Turok. I like how Picard doesn't let anyone else in on his ideas of what might be happening, or why he's taking these seemingly illogical actions. If anything happens to him, nobody else is going to know what he was thinking.
So they go back to the planet again, and Picard gambles everyone's lives on his assumption. Eventually he says,
The Enterprise will remain in orbit around Rana 4 as long as the 2 of you are alive.
Back in orbit, the enemy ship reappears and blows up the house, leaving no survivors.
And then the Enterprise seemingly destroys the ship. The Enterprise pretends to leave, but keeps surveillance on the planet, and eventually the house reappears.
The Outer Limits-esque twist is that Kevin is really an omnipotent being. The colony was destroyed by the aliens in the way he claimed, but Rashawn died along with the rest of the colonists. And in his rage, he destroyed the entire race of 50 billion by just thinking it. And Picard makes a weird quote, where he says,
I'm not certain if he should be praised or condemned.
In an organization that makes every effort to preserve the sanctity of life, why would Picard consider praising him? Just because he wiped out a violent race? The Klingons are violent, but they don't talk about genocide.
See, I thought he meant because of his pacifism, but he already wiped out a whole race.
He is by definition no longer a pacifist.
And when Picard was talking to Rashawn and he tells her that she doesn't exist, I thought that was a little weird because it's clear that she does exist, she's just not the real Rashawn. And that might be kind of a semantic thing, but it annoyed me.
The survivors. Overall?
The ending revelation of what Kevin actually did is genuinely surprising, and I thought the ending overall was really effective. But the rest of the episode is way too drawn out and tedious. The same section of plot just repeats over and over, with the ship appearing and nothing really happening, with the Enterprise people beaming down to the planet and nothing really happening. And it seems like that's something that we saw happen a lot in earlier episodes, where the plot doesn't actually advance until the end of the episode. Plus, Kevin is another one of these all-powerful beings that we've seen way too many of already at this point. He's definitely more interesting, but I'm tired of seeing the same idea over and over. Good ideas for the story itself, but a disappointing execution. I'm going to give it a C+.
I gave it a B-. The idea was really interesting, and I did like the ending. I really like John Anderson's performance. I suspected you wouldn't like this one because the ending deals with sentimentality. You're such a cynical bastard.
That's valid.
Even though there would be no harm in Picard telling the crew what his plan is, he doesn't, just to create a sense of mystery. It doesn't have any purpose. And why couldn't Kevin just recreate the entire colony? Or put up a super shield? Or just transport the Huznok a million light years away? There are other solutions that would involve everyone dying, but still not retaliating. Another God-being episode, but with a little more depth than what we've had before, so a little bit better.